I'm Peter Bornstein. I'm the chair of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, BPAC for short. BPAC is an informal committee and advocacy group supported by city staff, residents, and transportation professionals who are passionate about making Jacksonville a more walkable and bicycle-friendly place. We provide a platform of knowledge sharing and advocate for changes in policy, planning processes, and projects that will achieve this vision. We are here today to commemorate the World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims. On this day, we join more than 40 communities across our nation to honor and remember those who have been killed or seriously injured on our roadways in bicycle, car, and pedestrian crashes. We gather with friends and families to remember loved ones lost, along with our elected leaders, professionals working in road safety, and community stakeholders to acknowledge that everyone has the right to travel without the risk of being killed. These flags behind me represent the 508 people who have died on Jacksonville's roadways in the last 3 years. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor these victims. Every life is precious. Each flag is a member of the Jacksonville community whose life was cut short. These flags do not exist in a vacuum. They are our sons, mothers, co-workers, neighbors, and friends. In their passing, we also lose important pieces of our own lives. According to CDC data, every year more than 40,000 Americans are killed in traffic violence. This is twice the number of people who die by gun homicide annually. Yet these issues do not receive proportional attention. Jacksonville has consistently ranked as one of the most dangerous metropolitan areas in the United States for pedestrians by Smart Growth America. It is also previously ranked as the third most dangerous metropolitan area for cyclists by the National Highway Safety Administration. While this is a hard reality, it is one that needs to be acknowledged. In our culture, traffic crashes and deaths are taken for granted as part of modern-day life, but it doesn't have to be this way. Traffic deaths and serious injuries are preventable. The only acceptable number of fatalities on our roads is 0. BPAC is driven by the mission of making Jacksonville a safe, accessible, and enjoyable place for people walking and bicycling. We believe that when we ensure the safety of our most vulnerable road users, we make our city safe for all people. Today, we will hear testimony from those affected by traffic violence, who remind us that this is a very personal issue for many. We thank them for sharing their stories. We will also hear from elected officials, agency leaders, and those working in road safety who will showcase current efforts being made to address this important issue. BPAC is striving to organize a community in Jacksonville around the vision of safe streets for all, including people that choose to bicycle or walk. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you all for being here today. Thank you to our hosting organizations, the City of Jacksonville Transportation Planning Division, the North Florida Transportation Planning Organization, and Angels for Allison. And thank you to our sponsor, the First Coast section of the American Planning Association. We hope this event will be start of a constructive community discourse and will be a catalyst for positive improvements that will save lives. With that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, the Honorable Mayor Deegan.
Thank you, Peter, and I would like to thank your colleagues on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, better known as BPAC, for bringing us together for today's very, very important observance. All the victims being honored this afternoon were Jacksonville residents, and each of them left behind friends and family members who were devastated by their loss. On behalf of the entire city, please accept our condolences and know that we are here to support you however we can. The loss of your loved ones is made even more tragic by the fact that most roadway injuries and deaths are preventable. Our work continues in their honor to ensure that another family does not experience the same pain. Roadway safety requires us to be proactive, which is why we are currently developing Jacksonville's first Vision Zero action plan and the first Green and Complete Streets policy. Both will change the way roadway projects are prioritized and constructed, ensuring they include safety designs to prevent crashes and mitigate injury levels when human error does occur. To that end, I'd like to thank FDOT, JTA, North Florida TPO, DIA, Groundwork Jacksonville, and Downtown Vision for their partnership on many important initiatives designed to make our roadways safer for our residents. As your mayor and as an avid runner, I promise that we will keep working tirelessly to make BPAC's vision a reality. Together, we'll ensure that Jacksonville is a safe, accessible, and enjoyable city for pedestrians and cyclists. Before I conclude, I'd like to present you with the following mayoral proclamation to underscore the city's commitment to this cause. Whereas in 2023, traffic crashes claimed 3,428 lives in Florida, with 508 fatalities in Duval County alone from 2021 to 2023. And whereas from 2018 to 2023, Jacksonville experienced 2,770 serious injury crashes and 921 fatal crashes, with 7% involving children under the age of 18 and 74% occurring on state and local roadways. And whereas the Jacksonville metro area ranks 15th in pedestrian danger nationwide, with 441 serious pedestrian and 128 serious bicycle crashes recorded between 2018 and 2023. And whereas Jacksonville residents in a 2024 North Florida Transportation Planning Organization survey highlighted safety and connectivity as the primary barriers to walking and biking. And whereas every death on our roadways is a profound loss to the Jacksonville community. Whereas the World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims is a global event honoring those lost or injured on the roads, advocating for the prevention of further tragedies. And whereas this year's theme, traffic deaths and serious injuries are preventable, underscores the need for improved safety measures through better infrastructure, targeted traffic enforcement, and prioritization of all road users' safety. Now therefore, I, Donna Deegan, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of Jacksonville, Florida, do hereby proclaim November 15th, 2024 as World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims in Jacksonville, and encourage all citizens to join me in remembering those affected and committed to safer roads for all. Thank you very much. And thank you. You want to take a picture of it real quick? You want to open it? Anybody wants to see this? Wes, you want a quick picture of this? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Deegan. Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Rushing, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And I'm honored to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Nathaniel Ford, CEO of the Jacksonville Transportation Authority.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm humbled to be here with you all today to remember and honor those that have been seriously injured or lost due to a traffic incident. This is a very serious reality, especially here in the city of Jacksonville, and one that we are personally and professionally committed to working together to help improve. Our goal through the Vision Zero and the JTA's Creating Safe Spaces action plan is to have zero serious injuries or fatalities. We understand that to eliminate traffic injuries and fatalities, it's a challenge. But it's a challenge that is so important because when we talk about Vision Zero, I know it's a lofty goal, but that zero represents those individuals that if it was a family member, a sister, a brother, a husband or a wife, we would all want a goal of zero, and that's where we're striving. We provide mobility solutions as the JTA, but we also design, develop, and create infrastructure such as roads, sidewalks, bike lanes, and bridges to help move this community and create safer environments, as well as greater mobility and economic development. In this past year, the JTA is proud, and I'm proud as their CEO, the number of miles of bike lanes, 5 miles of bike lanes, 5 miles of new sidewalks, 5 miles of roadways that have been upgraded in a complete streets fashion, where we look at the proper and appropriate infrastructure from a bike lane, a sidewalk, automobile traffic. We look at the entirety of a street to make sure that we design it and build it safely from the very beginning. So as we touch a road, we do complete streets. All in all, since our Mobility Works program was launched, over 25 miles of sidewalks and 18 miles of bike lanes. The numbers, they matter in some ways, but they don't matter until we get to Vision Zero. For some, it may seem to be a lot. For others, it's not enough. For me, it's not enough. One of the projects, out of the dozens of projects we've completed over the past few years, the one that really strikes my heart and I'm proudest of the most is our 5th and McDuff project. Prior to 5th and McDuff getting overhauled by the JTA, there was no appropriate drainage, there was no sidewalk, but it was right adjacent to some major elementary, high school institutions right on that corridor. And just think about the decades of young children that actually walked along with bus traffic and semi-trucks and automobiles in that corridor. For me, in terms of being the CEO of JTA, I knew this is the place I wanted to be. I wanted to be involved in improving the quality of life of individuals at a very practical level. This project was small in the scale of projects that the JTA undertakes, but it is so large in terms of the safety in this community. So as I close, we're not going to eliminate traffic fatalities overnight, but it's not going to be because we're not going to try and put our whole hearts and minds behind it. Our goal is to do what we can do to improve our roadway safety. And for those of you who are with us today who lost a loved one, our hearts go out to you. Thank you for taking the time to share your stories with us. It reinforces our resolve in terms of solving this terrible issue in our community. And I just want to say thank you and God bless on behalf of all of the JTA staff and the JTA Board of Directors. We are not going to let you down. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. We would now like to call upon Councilman Jimmy Peluso to speak.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jimmy Peluso. I'm the City Council member for District 7, of which you are now currently sitting. If you've noticed, this weather is incredible, isn't it? It's the middle of November, and we have such a beautiful state. People want to be outside. People want to walk places. People want to bike places. That's what we should be helping our constituents and our citizens do. But today, we unfortunately have seen, I think it's over 40,000 casualties around the United States because of a traffic-related vehicular incident. That's unacceptable. The numbers that I've heard in Jacksonville are unacceptable. When I ran for office about a year and a half ago, one of the things that I have been pursuing is for us to have a much better bicycle infrastructure, a bike pedestrian infrastructure. Though I live in Riverside, Avondale, where it's a little bit more conducive to walk, as we're here in the middle of our urban core, I don't feel that it is. I've heard time and time again from individuals that, oh, we're just not a bicycle or pedestrian-friendly city, and people don't want to be out biking or walking to places, to which I say that is baloney. I've lived in several other cities. I've seen what it's like to give permission to individuals to bike to work as a means of conveyance, to walk to work. We should not make this a car-centric city. We should not make this a city that doubles down on urban sprawl. We should be looking inward, and we should be making sure that everyone, regardless of their means, their income, what kind of means of conveyance they have, that they're able to get from their home to their work in a reasonable amount of time and not be afraid to be hit by a car. That should be basic. That should be easy. And since my time in office, though it's been tough, I've been able to secure us as a NACDO city, the first time the city of Jacksonville has become a NACDO city, which prioritizes ensuring we have a more pedestrian, bike-friendly infrastructure. I've made sure that we look at our downtown area in particular and ways to make sure we're creating dedicated, protected bike lanes that connect us not only to our places of business, but connect us to the Emerald Trail and the Riverwalk. These are basic things that we should have been doing 20, 30, 40 years ago. But instead, it was let's build another road. Let's build another highway. And I've got Roosevelt Boulevard in my district. I have Main Street. I have other parts of my district that I don't even know if I would want to walk across them. And yet some people have to. And in some cases, unfortunately, we see the results of bad infrastructure and bad planning. It needs to stop today. And I'm glad to see that our mayor, that Nat, that our planning department are all here to bear witness to this. We can fix this, and we can make sure that the losses that we've had to bear are not in vain. Thank you so much for you two being up here and for you being a part of this. I can't envision what you've gone through. Thank you all so much, and let's make sure that next year we don't have any vehicular deaths. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman Peluso. Next, we will hear from Drew Haramis, founder of Angels for Allison, who tragically lost her 15-year-old daughter, Allison, in a car crash in April 2009. In Allison's memory, Drew's Foundation has aided over 1,000 Northeast Florida families with the financial costs associated with the loss of a child. Ms. Haramis.
Well, good morning to everyone. I am so honored to be a part of this with you all today. Thank you to the Jacksonville Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, the City of Jacksonville Transportation Planning Division, and to the North Florida Transportation Planning Organization for organizing this extremely important event. It's truly my privilege to tell you the story of my precious daughter, Allison, and how her legacy came to be. Our daughter, Allison Brunda Karamis, was born on July 4th, 1993. It was a most fitting birthday for her because she truly was a firecracker. She lit up a room. Her friends and family loved her sense of humor, her sense of fun, her zest for life. Simply stated, Allison loved living, loving, and laughing. She had a laugh you would never forget. She was involved in many activities through her life, but nothing made her happier than dancing. Dancing wasn't just a hobby for Allison. It was truly her passion, her joy, her life. She danced from the time she was 4 years old until the last week she was alive. Allison died 3 months before her 16th birthday, simply coming home from school on the Buckman Bridge. No parent should have to face the death of a child, but a traffic accident can impact anyone, no matter your age, race, age, political affiliation, income, religion, nothing. No one is exempt. Losing a child wasn't supposed to be our family's story. This wasn't supposed to happen to us, but it did. And it is only by God's divine grace and healing that I can stand here today and share our story with you. The night of the accident, my husband Lee looked at me and said, "We have a choice to make tonight also, to live or die, and I choose to live." Wow, those words still echo in my head today. And I think that decision to live, that choice we made, has honestly guided our family forward every day since then. Our family was blessed to be able to celebrate Allison's life with a beautiful service, but we soon learned that many families have a different reality in their darkest hour. Shortly after Allison died, 3 teenagers in Jacksonville were killed in a car accident. On the news, we watched as these grieving families were holding car washes and bake sales just to pay for the funerals of their children. Seeing that the impacts of such a tragedy can often reach beyond the individual heartbreak, we were inspired to create the Angels for Allison Foundation, which helps alleviate the burden of funeral costs for those who have lost their beloved children. We believe that no family should go into debt as a result of losing their child. It's hard to believe we've now been without our precious Allison for 15 years. As I've said many times before, time is indeed a beautiful healer. Our journey has certainly had its share of pain and grief, but mostly there has just been hope and joy. God has a plan and does everything for a reason. Though we didn't understand it at the time, this was Allison's purpose. This was why she was put on this earth, and this was God's plan. I praise God every day for the gift of Allison's life and the joy she's brought us. She brought us during her 15 years on earth. Today, the foundation has provided over $1 million in funeral assistance to nearly 1,200 families. We are humbled to have supported 18 of the 508 precious lives lost on Jacksonville's roads in just the last 3 years. While there may not be cures for many diseases that have taken our family's children, there is something we can do about the unnecessary deaths on our roadways. These are preventable tragedies. Each of these flags that you see represents someone's child, someone's beloved person in their family, honestly, someone's whole world. Today, on this World Day of Remembrance, we honor all those we have lost. May we find strength in community, comfort in faith, and the courage to make our roads safer, so that no other parent has to face the journey we've walked. Let us live each day fully, just as Allison did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Drew. Our next speaker is Teresa Rose. Teresa is a bike mechanic, advocate, and founder of the West Augustine Wheelers, a casual cycling community. Teresa will share her personal experience losing her dear friend Katie in 2020. Thank you, Teresa, for being here.
Hello. My name is Teresa, like Lauren said. I rode here today from St. Augustine to honor my friend Katie Usina. Katie was hit and killed by a truck while riding her bike on October 30th in 2020, just over a month shy of her 30th birthday. She was funny and loud, the glue that held friend groups together. Small in stature, but her personality was so big, I can hardly believe she's gone. She had ambitious cycling goals and life plans, and she should still be here, riding her bike, listening to Elliott Smith, planning an adventure to the Springs, or whatever else we do to fill our days. Distracted driving and poor infrastructure killed my friend. It broke my leg when I was hit by a car 7 years ago riding my bike, and it instills fear in cyclists and pedestrians every day. I'm honored to be a part of this event, honored to be given a chance to say Katie's name and hold her picture and remember her, and remember that like all victims of road traffic incidents, she should still be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for courageously sharing your stories, Drew and Miss Rose. Our next speaker is Fred Jones, Director of the Planning and Design Collaborative at Haskell. Mr. Jones also previously served as a Senior Transportation Planner at JTA and as Vice Mayor for the City of Neptune Beach. He's here today to share a little bit more about the City of Jacksonville and JTA initiatives to improve safety.
Thank you, Lauren. Who's ready for action today? Who's sick of talking about this over and over again? Who's tired of reading the stories in the newspaper about the coverage of the person that was killed the previous night? Law enforcement's investigating, people are cooperating, and then that's the last thing you hear is just that and a number. Who's tired of that? Seriously. I've been talking about this stuff for 10 years. I got into planning and fell into transportation and really fell into this space because of these stories. Finding it absolutely inexcusable that we can't figure out a way to solve this problem when the rest of the world has figured it out. But I do think, today marks a really momentous occasion. It's the first step in really committing ourselves to action. And Mr. Ford and Mayor Deegan, I want to really commend you guys for committing to doing something different and taking this narrative that we have about us being the most dangerous city for cyclists and one of the worst for pedestrians and finding that unacceptable, and let's putting our money where our mouth is at. So through these plans, we don't want these to just be shelf-fulfilling prophecies, as I like to call them, or those plans that sit on the shelf. This is a roadmap to the future. We're working collaboratively to identify those places throughout the city, those corridors, and you know them quite well. You've driven on them every day and you go, my God, I wouldn't be caught dead walking or biking on these. And these are the places that we really need to work on and fix and address. So with this planning effort, we're going to identify these locations, we're going to collect the data, we're going to show where they're happening, the types of problems, the types of incidents that were happening, and we're going to develop a set of policies, strategies, and design solutions to address these. And rather than just listing, we are actually able to do something. The good news is that most of these incidents that we're finding are happening around 20% of the area. So that tells us that we can really target our improvements. This isn't swallowing the elephant. These are things where we can really get out and make a difference. Mr. Ford talked about 5th and McDuff. It didn't seem like that was a big deal, but let me tell you, sidewalks and lighting is a big deal if you're walking to school in the morning at 5 a.m. and it's dark. So these are the types of improvements we're talking about here. Through these action plans, working together, both JTA looking at its assets, looking at the bus stops, all of their transit infrastructure, and saying, within a half mile of here, people are walking here. The last time I checked, when somebody gets on the bus, they usually got there by walking. So it's not just the bus that you're boarding and alighting, it's the environment surrounding it. It's the sidewalk. Is there a bike lane? Is there lighting? Is there basic, dignified human infrastructure that allows people to do something besides drive and be forgotten about? So through these plans, we're going to be working to identifying a list of improvements that collectively we can target. We've got money to do it. We just need to do it. The other thing that's of note is that the city was just awarded $1.27 million in funding to do low-cost demonstration projects. We should be commending ourselves and giving ourselves a nice round of applause for doing that and getting this money and saying we are actually going to do something short term. This will allow us, rather than studying things to death and thinking about all the heavy lift that we have to do to get some agency to think about making a change, to just go out there and do it. We can go out there with low-cost materials and do things like temporary bike lanes, bulb outs at intersections with just paint, and that does a huge difference to create the awareness for drivers to coming in and saying, you know, I can go a little bit slower through here. I don't have to drive 50 miles an hour through this intersection. This is a place for people. This is a place for transit customers. This is a place where somebody in a wheelchair may be moving through here, or this is a place where somebody decides to ride their bike from St. Augustine to Jacksonville and has, you know, which, my gosh, give you a round of applause for that. Again, all of this is going to require us to be champions. It doesn't stop today. It doesn't stop with us sitting here giving ourselves a round of applause. It starts with action. So again, all of you, let's be champions. Let's make a difference and work together to solve us and get us off these lists, and not only make it safer, but make it a place where people want to live and work and raise a family. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Today we remember and support and also act. We add our voice to the urgent call for change to address the heartbreaking cost of traffic crashes. We know it's possible. Other communities have demonstrated that this is a preventable crisis. We can and must do more to prevent deaths and serious injuries on our roadways. We can design roadways, sidewalks, and bikeways and set policies that ensure that everyone can get to their destination safely. We know how to do it. We do not need to research a cure for this epidemic. We've seen safety improve in communities across the country and around the world where they lower speeds, add traffic calming measures, and use technology to prioritize the safety and movement of people over vehicles. Represented by the flags behind me, 508 people have lost their lives on Jacksonville's roadways in the last 3 years. Traffic crashes are also the leading cause of death for U.S. youth. And in Jacksonville, 7% of our traffic fatalities is a child under the age of 18. 7 out of every 100 people killed on our roadways is a child like Drew's. Today, you've heard the heartbreaking stories of the pain and the challenges that families and friends endure after a crash. How many more people and children are we willing to lose by not taking action? On this World Day of Remembrance, we grieve and remember those killed and injured in crashes. And we call for our leaders to step up and to make the changes we know can prevent such tragedies in the future. This administration has done a great job taking some very important first steps towards moving the needle on traffic safety. But there is more to do. Now is the time to act. BPAC is calling on the City of Jacksonville to adopt a Vision Zero resolution and policy that makes a commitment to zero traffic deaths and serious injuries in the City of Jacksonville by 2040. And to keep our children safe, to work with Duval County Public Schools to implement speed cameras in every school zone in Jacksonville by the end of 2025 as a part of their community action plan. Achieving Vision Zero will require engagement from all levels of government and the community. We look forward to continuing to foster these relationships and bringing key stakeholders together to drive change in our community. We all have our part to play. Only together can we end these tragedies. Before we conclude, we'd like to share gratitude and appreciation to those who made today's event possible. A tremendous thank you to Mayor Donna Deegan, Mr. Nat Ford, and Councilman Jimmy Peluso for participating and acknowledging this important issue. Thank you to Fred Jones for participating and for the important work you're doing to address road safety. Thank you to Drew Haramis and Teresa Rose, who bravely shared their stories today. And again, thank you to our hosting organizations, the City of Jacksonville Transportation Planning Division, the North Florida TPO, Angels for Allison, and our sponsor, the First Coast section of the American Planning Association. This event would not have been possible without your support. We'd also like to thank ARC Document Solutions for generously donating many of the materials used for today's event. Lastly, we thank each and every one of you who came out today to honor Jacksonville's road traffic victims and to support our advocacy. We encourage you to get involved by joining BPAC at our monthly meetings on the first Thursday of every month in the city's Ed Ball building. If you're interested, please visit our BPAC booth where we'll have a sign-in sheet and we'll add you to our email list. Also, after the event, please visit the Angels for Allison booth where you can place photos of your loved ones if you've lost someone on our roadways to honor them. And with that, we conclude this year's World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims. Thank you very much.